Good evening. This is Reverend Dr. Suellen Miller, and I am here at Thrive on Thursday with more of Vetura Papke's spiritual reminders. This particular set is on spiritual mind treatment and meditation. So with that in mind, I will begin. I want to thank those of you who have called or written regarding these spiritual reminders. I do so appreciate your comments and also your requests. There have been several requests that I talk about and do a treatment and meditation. So lesson 5 will be on these two. Also, someone else announced that the matter to be used on the tape following suggested that I announce the matter that's going to be on the next tape. But since I really do work for inspiration, I don't know what the next topic will be. Unless, of course, there's a special request such as today. In the Basic Ideas of Science of Mind on page 52, we read this quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes. We must remove from the creating medium of mind all negatives. It must be at peace. It has to have removed from it everything that would obstruct the right development of the good results sought. When you are poised, calm, and at peace, filled with happy expectancy, serenely trusting in the fulfillment of the highest good, you are ready to do your spiritual planting. The 5 steps of treatment are for the purpose of cleansing the mind. The one giving the treatment and building consciousness of your awareness and your awareness with God. All 5 steps are important. Perhaps step 1 seems to be of the greatest importance, because without step 1, the other steps would mean very little. We know that step 1 is recognition. It is recognition of God and nothing else. So step 1, we do not use what I think or what I believe or I speak my word or I. We do not use that at all. The recognition is of God, what God means to you. Now we know the infinite mind cannot define the infinite. That's not what it says. Now we know the finite mind cannot define the infinite. We are all very much aware of this. But at the same time, scientific prayer is praying intelligently, and therefore we must have a concept of God, of what God is to us. We know God is all things, that we can spend days and weeks and months and years and lifetimes talking about God and not having said all that God is. Since we're imprinting our mind, we do it best with our thoughts of what God is. It helps, I believe, to start step 1 with this. God is. Then dig into your own thinking, your own words, and tell what God means to you. As I teach the 5 steps of treatment, I say that God is life, beauty, passion, wholeness, harmony, peace, joy, and on and on and on and on. Many, many things to me, God is. God is life. I can relate with people and all things as life, because I know that there is life in everything. The desks, the chairs, the carpets, the drapes, as well as in every and all things. There is life. Different degrees of intelligence, it is true, but there is life. Science calls this energy. And this is what we really are, isn't it? We are life, or we are energy. In whatever terminology means most to you, use it in your speaking and your thinking and your treatment, in your recognition of God. If we use many descriptions of God in our step 1, our recognition of God, we are expanding our consciousness to accept more and more and more God. We know, of course, that there can be and is answered prayer without this. That all of the words we would use, all of the words in the dictionary, does not mean that you will receive an answer to your prayer. We know that. But we do know that the main and important thing that you and I are trying to establish is our awareness and oneness with God. And whatever we can do will help us to establish that is beneficial. Therefore, I teach the students to elaborate in step 1 on God. And so in treatment, step 1, recognition. God is life, love, beauty, joy, peace, power, wholeness, and everything that there is, God is. God is not only in all things, but God is all things. The beauty of the rose, the song in the throat of the songbird, the laughter of a little child, all of this is God. God is the beauty whose wonderful gnarled hands we see. In all things, God is. And it's step 2, unification. Since I am created in the image after the likeness of God, then I have within me all of those potentials, the potential of life, of beauty, of joy, of peace, of wholeness, etc., 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 on and on. All of those possibilities are within me. I am that thou art, and thou art that I am, the poet said, and it is truth. Now, the third step of treatment is realization. This is where the mechanics of the treatment start, where the actual work is done. I usually start the third step this way. I, Vetura Papke, speak my word for whomever the treatment is for, and in this case, we will use Tom Jones. So I speak my word for Tom Jones. And so doing, I set the law of mind in motion for Tom to bring into his experience his good. To know that his mind is open, receptive only to infinite intelligence and to divine love. Anything in his mind that is blocking the flow of infinite intelligence, let it be completely erased and dissolved, that his mind is open and receptive only to the truth. Knowing that as his mind is open to this infinite intelligence, that all of the ideas that he needs to guide and direct him into the path of abundance will be his. For God moves in us and speaks to us through ideas, through our mind, and God speaks to Tom, directing him into the abundance of life that is his heritage as a son of God. Now, I also speak this word, declaring this truth, that Tom's body is the temple of the Spirit of God and the activating power of God, flowing in and through every atom and every cell and every organ. The reaction and function of every organ of his body now fills with the perfection of God, reveals that truth to me. The perfection of God reveals that truth to me, that only the perfection of God indwells. Therefore, whatever negative experience Tom is having on a physical way is completely erased and dissolved, and he goes free. Now, if Tom needs to know the cause, whatever the cause that has brought into his experience both lack and physical distress, but then if he needs to know, let this cause be revealed to him lovingly and gently. If he does not need to know the cause, let it be erased and dissolved immediately, and let Tom go free. And may this experience never be his again. All right, now step 4 is thanksgiving. I give thanks, dear Father, that thou hearest me. I know that thou hearest me always. That even before these words were spoken, that thou hast answered, and this prayer is answered now. Therefore, step 5, I release it into the law, that wonderful law of mine, knowing as I do so, it is done, and so it is. Amen. We, of course, need faith, great faith. We establish faith by belief in a power greater than we are, a power that hears and answers prayer, a power, a love that responds to us, and by our using that power to bring into our experience the good we desire. Whatever your mind's eye is upon is that which you embody. If your attention is on poverty, unemployment, disease, or trouble of any kind, this is what you're opening yourself to experience. These things will be yours. Jesus said, and I quote, "The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee is darkness, how great is that darkness?" We believe in prayer. We believe the purpose of prayer is to seek awareness, a conscious union with the indwelling presence. How effective our prayers are depend on our realization with this invisible power. We read in the Bible that faith has made thee whole. Believe it, and it shall be done unto you. Dr. Holmes says, and I quote, that faith through love and reason is the key that unlocks the divine storehouse. Now we ask ourselves, what is this? What is faith? The Bible tells us it is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Somebody, I don't know who, I couldn't get it off the scratchy old tape, says faith penetrates the great unknown and makes it known. Faith goes out upon the seeming void and finds the solid rock. When the children of Israel were faced with the Red Sea and the Egyptians were at their heels, Moses said to them, "Fear not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today." You will find that quote in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. This took tremendous faith. To stand still often requires far more courage and more faith than to turn and move forward. To faith, man may banish ails and misfortunes. Through faith, man may experience harmony, joy, peace, abundance of all good. For him who has faith, all things are possible. There is this great power, spiritual power, that is to be used by every man that will. And this takes faith. Faith is the key. Faith itself is not the power. It is the ingredient we use when we look at the outward appearance and refuse to see lack, sickness, disease, even death. It is faith we use when one avenue of supply that we use is closed. We know your faith that another and a better door will open for our needs to be met, and more than our needs, enough that we may share with others. Through the prayer of faith, know with God that there is always a way. Let go of fear, of doubt, of disease, and there turn to that power within, knowing through faith in God, a power greater than we are. We can and we will do whatever is needed for us to do. This becomes guidance, inner guidance. All truth waits for our perception. Only with faith in ourselves, faith in God, will we discover this kingdom of God within. Our thoughts are acted upon by the universal forces. The image in the mirror can only reflect the image given it. The whole endeavor in treatment is not to convince somebody else, but ourselves. The universe is a thing of consciousness or intelligence, only responding as law to our word at the level of acceptance of that word. There is a place in consciousness where nothing can keep our word from acting. Treatment is not an argument with an adversary. You must know that there is integrity and honesty. a simplicity and effectiveness in the direct acceptance of our own word for someone else, a transcendent. We must transcend to change. We must bring more faith to our client than they have fear if we are to help them. Spiritual mind healing, getting away from fear, causing our own consciousness to rise in an elevation of thought, where these things do not exist, no obstructions and no shadows. To lift our own consciousness to that high level where we can and do accept this glorious truth: God is all there is. As long as we accept God and something else, we shall never be in that state to allow the perfection of God to flow through us. There must be a complete cleansing of our mind if the radiant purity of God flows in and through us. Knowing of myself, I can do nothing, but recognizing a power within us that can and will do things, a power that is eagerly waiting our command. The whole work of mental science is to establish in the consciousness what you want in place of what you do not want. We, as seekers of truth, seek to establish a rich consciousness, a consciousness so filled with the God consciousness that we know the power, that deep and inexhaustible source so flows through us that nothing in heaven or earth can stand against us. We know when we speak our word, we do not have to do anything else for that word to come true. Faith has promised the new set of conditions. It has changed the mental attitude. Therefore, we must have faith, as Dr. Holmes said. Not only must we have faith in God, but we must also have the faith of God. And so, dear beloved ones, simply because you are listening to these tapes, it is evident that you have faith in God, that you are seeking this great wisdom and power, that you are letting that mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. We are dealing with spiritual laws that are just as real as other laws. The law of consciousness, which is the law of mind in action, a power greater than we are, a spiritual truth that makes us free. We know how to use and must use it, a power greater than we are. We use it in treatment. God in me, the only mind there is, knows exactly what to do, and I accept it. I identify divine intelligence with this truth. For everything in the universe is a quantity of God made manifest, only different degrees. And that's the end of the section on spiritual mind treatment. Not anything significantly new as far as I could tell, just slightly worded different. And as I've gone through things over the years multiple times, I like having a reminder sometimes of what it is, how we're doing it, and what the pieces are there that keep hitting home is we have to believe, and it's done according to our level of consciousness, whatever that is. The second part of this particular lesson was about meditation. And in this section on meditation, she's included what I would call an invocation or an evocation, an opening blessing, and a closing blessing as meditations. So here's what she says. The opening purpose of a meditation is to establish a tone for a meeting. It is not a lecture or a sermon. Its purpose is to bring thinking people together in thought. Different terminology is used depending on the affair. If you are giving an opening meditation for a church or in a church, you would no doubt say Heavenly Father, or Oh God, our Father, or Infinite Spirit God. But if you were in a meeting, say, of the Chamber of Commerce or the Kiwanis or some club, probably your opening would be infinite intelligence, something of a terminology that would be acceptable to that group of people. The second meditation is a closing meditation. At some church, we call it a benediction. Now, the purpose of a closing meditation is very definite. It is the bringing of a meeting to a conclusion so people can leave. It should contain the idea of thanksgiving, such as the meeting was a success and the people have been blessed. It should not contain a personal opinion about the meeting or a recapitulation of what's been accomplished or said during the meeting. An example would be something like this. We do give thanks for the success of this meeting. We know each one has been blessed by the privilege of being here today. As we leave and go our several ways, may we share with others the peace and love that we have received. And so it is. Something short and to the point. Please, an opening meditation or a closing meditation should not go on and on and on. I hear so many opening and closing meditations where the people almost give a lecture, and that is not the purpose. Let us learn to do things correctly. You will be received graciously at different club meetings, and I'm sure you will be asked again and again when you comply with the etiquette of it. It's like, we don't want you to be verbose. Laser. Now, the third type of meditation is inspired meditation. This is a very personal meditation or inspiration, and usually not done in public. This is truly a transcendental meditation. In the Science of Mind textbook, Dr. Holmes says, we entered the absolute to the degree we withdraw from the relative. He further suggests we contemplate the grains of sand on the beach or the stars in the sky. Whatever we do, we raise our thinking beyond our own problems and ourselves and think in universal terms about the absolute. In our glossary in the textbook is an excellent definition of what meditation is. And she doesn't state that, and I didn't look it up. Now, in inspirational meditation is that which you can do, each of us, for ourselves, where there can be a guided meditation, which many teachers and ministers do for their students or for a group in their church. And a guided meditation is very acceptable. And I believe that the average person participating in a guided meditation are helped tremendously. And learning to be quiet, to enter into that secret place of the Most High, to become aware of a presence, of a power greater than they are, and how the two relate to it. Now, when we say, let us enter into the silence, it does not mean that the mind is blank. The mind in meditation is very, very active, and the body very relaxed and very still. And the mind is not concerned or thinking of itself in any way at all. So let's give the body a command to relax, to become quiet, to let go of any tension, of any strain. And there are any number of exercises that one can do before entering into meditation. There is a harmony center, a treatment, a breathing technique. There are many things and exercises to help because they help relax the body. And this is important for the body to be relaxed if we're to have a satisfactory meditation. Now, we can take one or two or more words or even a sentence into our meditation. Some teachers teach the use of a mantra. A mantra is a word or words or sentences that's something you use to become accustomed to, which is a great help in meditation. Aside here, I used to listen to Taco Bell's Canon in D when I was traveling. I had it on a cassette tape, and I would put that in my player, put my headphones on, and when I was flying, and I was first going back and forth and spending lots of times in airplanes for my job, I would play that, and it would relax me such that I cannot listen to Taco Bell and guarantee to stay awake now. It comes on, and my body just relaxes, and it can wake me up real quick, or put me to sleep real quick. Either way. So you use the mantra to get yourself in a place, and if you use it consistently, then it helps you get into that place the next time you hear it, see it, or whatever. You could use anything that you like. You can use the word like, or love, or wisdom, or divine intelligence, or power, or beauty, or peace, gentleness, kindness, light. God is all, just the word God. The word God in some other language. The healing power of God, harmony, abundance, wholeness, success. Some people even use the entire 23rd Psalm as a mantra because they learned it young and then can deliver it from memory. And that, of course, is important. When our body is completely relaxed and our mind active with the word or mantra sentences that we have chosen, then we are ready to begin to meditate. Now, it's a good idea to spend about 5 minutes on a word or words or sentences to bring them back to mind again and again to the word or sentence that's been chosen until it becomes an all-consuming part of us. Meditation can be likened to a journey, and like a journey, success depends on preparation. Now, we all have mental hang-ups, and these must be corrected before the ultimate journey can be realized. And their great saying in the Bible that is so important is, be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind, of your mind. There are literally hundreds of books on meditation, as many different meditations as there are authors. All are good. I've read many, many books on meditation and have found in them something very fine and very worthwhile and very helpful. Meditation in its full fruition is the total self-understanding of the total reality. It aims a perfect realization of the self and its active relationship to the supreme being. To arrive at that end, the ego has to be transcended, to rise above whatever it is. Now, the first 2 steps of our 5 steps of treatment is meditation. When this is done correctly, the recognition of God and the unification of God, when this is complete, there is total erasure of the self. This is pure meditation. This is why step 1 in treatment is such an important step, because it is the erasure of the self. When we mention only God in our first step, recognition, and do then many things, the descriptive words that are God, what that is, we are truly transcending the ego of the self, which is very, very important. We could, of course, spend months on meditation and talking about meditation alone, as there's so much written about it and so much importance in the use of it today. Always has been and always will be. I learned meditation many, many years ago, and I was taught meditation through the use of a rose. I was taught to sit cross-legged on the floor, holding a rose in my hand and gazing completely and constantly into the rose. If my mind wandered at all, I brought it back again and again and again until I reached that stage where the rose and I were really, really one. There was no separation at all. And because perhaps I learned meditation with a rose, I naturally think of a rose many times in meditation. And one time, a few years back, in a class at the Institute, I gave a guided meditation using a rose. And I've had so many requests from students for that meditation. But since it was an inspirational thing, I had no notes or planned meditation. And it's difficult to remember exactly all the things that we say. So to the best of my ability, I am going to now do that so-called rose meditation. Now, I would ask all of you to be comfortable, to sit in a comfortable position. For me, to sit in a straight chair with my back upon the chair, my feet flat on the floor, my hands relaxed in my lap. It's comfortable for me. Now, many people like to cross their legs at their ankles, and some people like to lie down. You be comfortable, whatever is comfortable for you. Let's not forget that we are individuals, and what is right for me is not necessarily right for anyone else. And we must each choose that which is for ourselves. Be yourself. That's the greatest thing. There is one of the two greatest experience that I've ever had is the time that I was in my realization, my oneness with God, of course. More important than that, the second revelation was to be myself, to no longer try to be someone that people expected me to be, but to be that which I was, my God self, that wonderful, wonderful self that God created in each of us, that there isn't anything more beautiful nor wonderful than that self. So this is very, very important to be yourself. So whatever is convenient for you, that is what you do. We listen to our teachers and we follow their instruction and strive for that which is our greatest good. And that's what lessons are all about. So to begin, we always take 3 deep breaths. We breathe, feeling it all through our body, in breathing the breath of air, which is filled with God. So truly, we are in breathing God. The power of the air, the spirit of the air. God is the air that we in breathe. So we in breathe God, filling our body with this wonderful, wonderful, beautiful air. And then we exhale. And we exhale all of this air. And as we do, we give out with compassion and love and peace and joy to our fellow man. Then we take another deep breath. We breathe in God. We in-breathe God, breathing it into all of our body, feeling it going right down to the tips of our toes. In-breathing God, filling our body with the life of God. Then we exhale. And we ask for compassion and love and peace and joy to all mankind everywhere, to all mineral life, to all animal life, to all vegetable life, to the life of God everywhere. Then we take another deep breath and in-breathe God, filling ourselves now with the Spirit of God. Deep, deep breath. And then we exhale, and we exhale so much love and so much understanding, and with our fellow man, loving them, seeing them as they truly are, sons of God. And from now, we're going to take a trip. Now, this trip that we're going to take is to go within, because the voyage of life is an inner voyage and not an outer one. And it is as we learn to go within, deep, deep, deep within, that we come into the beauty and awareness of God. Meditation is a discipline of our mind, and we can discipline our mind now by imagining a beautiful garden. We move into this garden and we are drawn to a specific rose bush. And here on this rose bush is a particular bud, a rose bud that looks absolutely perfect. And we are compelled, seemingly, to look at this bud. And as we do, we see a slight movement and opening of the petals of the bud. We inhale the aroma that it sends. And we're aware that there is a power, a presence in this rose that is sending its beauty and its love to all. That it is obeying a command, an inner command, to do that which it was created to do, to open into its glorious beauty, to bring into our lives a little of that beauty of God. As we watch it slowly open, slowly, but surely opening the love within itself, that it must do that which God created it to do. And because it does not have a mind of its own to argue or choose, it must do that which it is commanded to do. And that is to blossom as we look at this great beauty, as we enjoy the fragrance and the surroundings. We become aware of this infinite, wonderful intelligence of the divine mind. And we say with the prophet of, "Oh, dear God, what is man that thou wert mindful of him? That thou hast given us so much love, so much beauty, and given us the power of choice." In thanksgiving for this lift, for this gift, we acknowledge with a grateful heart our thanksgiving. And as we become aware that this great love, which created the universe, loves us so much that he created just for us the beauty of a rose, as we have let the petals, we have let the portals of our soul open to truth, that radiant Christ-like living presence within lights our pathway and becomes for us that radiant, beautiful light of the Christ. We are so grateful of it, so grateful. There are not words that we can express our deep gratitude and our love for thee. We thank thee, God. We thank thee with all of our mind, all of our heart, and all of our soul for this experience of thyself. And so it is. Amen. As always, dear ones, it is a great joy to speak with you, and I extend to you my love and my blessings, knowing that you are evolving spiritually into that beautiful Christ self that you were created to be. Bless you. I found it absolutely fascinating that I'm typing this part about the rose. I'm listening and then typing and listening and then typing. And I will swear to you, the scent of a fresh rose wafted into the room. I'm in an office. There's probably not even an artificial rose anywhere close. And yet that scent was there. So I just found it a miracle right there in my office. So anyway, that was her information on treatment and meditation. Comments?
One thing I would mention to you, something that I do with my students, my piano students, is early on, I will get Papke out and play it, and I will have the students stand and start listening to it, and then just move however they feel like moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would share that with you, what you're talking about in using the Papke with meditation, but it is very, very moving to stand and then begin to move with the Papke. That it is such a dynamic piece.
I agree. It's one of my favorite pieces. So,
Oh man, yeah.
but it will put me to sleep. If I listen to very much of it, I can just go right out. And I don't have to be. I do not listen to it in the car for that reason.
Oh, I can understand.
You just don't do that. It does not work for me to drive and listen to it. So anyway, I found I found this stuff. I don't know whether I read too fast or read too slow or whatever. Um, and sometimes it's hard to read, and sometimes I find that what I've transcribed is not exactly what I know she meant, and sometimes the words autocorrect gets a hold of them and and makes them into different words.
Yeah.
She Whoever autocorrect, I'm going to have to name my autocorrect so I can call it something. Um, did not like the part about in breathing because that's not something we say. And Vetura frequently goes into the biblical these and thous and those kinds of things. And that doesn't come across either well.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, but it's
Well,
fun.
and I have a hard time with the word God.
Mm,
It, and I've come to, Roy's used to that. I've come to understand that all any of us are talking about when we speak of God, we're trying to find a word that we can communicate what we're all feeling about what this is, what this essence is.
yep.
And so I'm getting softer about God, uh, understanding that it is all of our individual and collective um, desire to describe what this is, because we know it's dynamic, we know it affects us, and we know the more that we get in touch with this, that we are inspired and directed, and so I'm softening about the word God. Probably part of that was my early years. I was in a Christian church, and so part of that was trying to move away from all the rest of the garbage that trailed around with an organized church, as I seek my spirituality. Um, and so um, I don't have a replacement for that other than when I hear others speaking about God, I'm learning to translate that into, yes, that loving essence that is there for us.
Mm-hmm. Energy is a term that a lot of people that don't like the word God, but
Mhm.
recognize the science term energy. We're all energy. That's what we are.
Yes.
I like infinite intelligence because that sounds quite, quite what you talked about is infinite intelligence, a loving, supportive relationship that we have with that entity that some people call God.
Yes. Well, and another problem with the word God is that it's misused.
Mm-hmm.
It's used in hateful ways even,
Right.
and so that's where, as an individual, we need to find our place with that word, and yeah, translate it into whatever it truly means to us, because
Right.
it is that essential loving energy that
Mm-hmm.
is ours to absorb and be part of.
Yeah, I agree.
Evelyn was in Sunday school when she was a little girl. She was the little girl who asked all of the uncomfortable questions.
Yes,
Sometimes the teacher would just tell us, "Shut up, Evelyn."
I had the delightful opportunity to grow up Catholic. So we did not have Sunday school. We just went to the Catholic school and we had religion class every day. So there was no uncomfortable pieces with it because we were in a class and we got to do the memory work that goes along with the Baltimore Catechism number 3. And it was all, wrote. You
Yeah.
asked the question was worded this way. And with that question, this was the answer. And, omnipresent, omnipotent, all of that stuff, right over the first grader's head. Because who knows what that stuff is when you're 6. So anyway, but I can learn it. I memorized all of that stuff.
Maybe it
So,
would have been easier to learn it in Latin. And
well, it might have
memorize
been.
the Latin, then you don't have to know what it means.
That's true. That's true. It was bad enough that we did the church, the mass was in Latin. So that was every Sunday or every day we went to church it was in Latin. So.
Have they gotten away from uh, their services in Latin? Have they gotten
Oh
away
yeah,
from that?
several years ago. Yeah,
Long time ago.
Yeah, right. But now you can find them as you go to most churches local here have English services and Spanish services.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because, oh, yes,
We
speak
have
the people's
large,
language. Yeah, yeah.
so
But over here in America, we don't have Latin people.
well, I'm not sure there are very many Latin people around anymore, so to speak. I think
Anywhere.
anywhere, yeah.
I took 2 years of Latin in high school,
Me too.
and it helps. But the only words that I really remember now may have been in the first lesson of the first course.
And the Roman
Really,
numerals.
you know.
I can remember the Roman numerals. So anyway, I have a book. I have a lot of books. I have a book called Amo Masamat, and it's about Latin and phrases that we have absorbed into our language. So it's just fascinating to do. All right. So I'm going to pray in a minute, but if you or anybody who sees this, because this will go on, we post it on YouTube, which means that you can go and look up the past ones if you choose. I think it's Journey CSL. If you would choose to make a donation, you can go to the website, which is being redone and should be up this week, but it isn't currently. I think it is, but I'm not sure. But you can text to 405 337 9739. And the first time that you do that, you'll be asked a question or two. And then once you give them that information, then every time after that, you can text to that number and put in an amount, and it will automatically be withdrawn from your account and put in Inner Journey's account. And we would greatly appreciate that. So now let me do a benediction or a closing prayer before I turn the actual video off. So I stop and take a breath because I know when I take a breath, that allows me to center myself. It allows me to, by habit, because I've done it so many times, to let go of everything else around outside of whatever I'm doing, thinking in this prayer in this moment. So as I'm in this place of being one with God, I know that each and every person that listens to this tape, watches this DVD, or watches this short piece on YouTube, knows that and goes away from here with an increased awareness of their own divinity. They know a little bit more about meditation. They know a little bit more about spiritual mind treatment, and they know a little bit more about themselves and a little bit more about God. And that's all good. That's all good. So I give thanks for this knowledge, for that each one of us has, increasing our awareness of who we are. As I release this prayer into the law that says yes to my word, and so it is. Amen. And now I'm going to turn this off.